Okay.
Because I'm getting feedback on the audio side of things.
All right. So Twitch is a thing,
Yes, it's a website that exists. So that is correct.
and we now.
All right, Zach. I know you. What I want to do real fast, Zach, is just listen to the playback. In three
Okay.
parts. It. I got recorded it. All right, so we're good, I guess. So we're going streaming on both now. I wish my computer wouldn't be such a dick when I ask questions and move things. Zachary, could you repeat yourself, please? Because it's been a rotund motherfucker.
Mixer is not live still.
What about Twitch?
Twitch is live.
Well, fuck it. We'll go live then. Do it live. I'll just do this. Just go listen on Twitch, you snitches. There we
Snitches get twitches.
go. Yeah. So, hang on, just in case. Twitch.tv, real NerdCorp. So you are sure that we are broadcasting on Twitch?
Yes, I've seen it and I've heard it. It's a thing.
I've seen Dryland. This is not a myth. It is a myth. All right. Well, if you're just tuning in,
Oh, wait a minute. We might have Mixer.
whoa, oh,
Wait for it. Wait for it.
wait for it. No body, no crime, Sean. What is that? A mug somewhere?
Still nothing. Never mind. It popped up and said they're now live, and I clicked on it and nothing played. So
Well, we are at least live on Twitch. I found that out the hard way. By going to it and hearing it, oh God, your voice. It's quite melodious.
well, thank you.
It's giving me ear diabetes. Diabetes. I made pancakes this morning.
Yeah.
Is there a trick to make them not suck?
Not that I've ever figured out. But then I haven't made them that many times. Or attempted to make them, I should say.
It's not that they were definitively bad, but I thought it was going to be more like muffin paste. Not muffin paste, but you know what I mean. Like you know when you make homemade muffins and like have a bit of a sweeter taste to the batter? Like this shit was almost bitter. And it's not like I made my own fucking batter. I used Aunt Jemima.
I think that's just kind of how the batter is for pancakes.
Well, I need to buy blueberries and just smash some shit in there then. Because fuck that noise.
Blueberries, not chocolate chips.
No, you know, I'm kind of goofy like that. I like to keep my unhealthy sweets out of my actual meals. Like anyone who's like, oh, you should try like steak and chocolate, I'd be like, ew, no.
That
Chocolate is
terrible.
Chocolate's for after. Or like somebody's like, you know, we're gonna have like cinnamon blah blah blah. I'm like, ew, no, that's a dessert topping. What are you doing? Stop. Vanilla tartare. Ew, why? No, stop. Get out of here. So no, I don't make chocolate chip pancakes because that sounds like something that a 5-year-old would have for dinner. I'm 12. I'm responsible. Hence the blueberries.
Of course, the blueberries.
Of course, the blueberries.
An irresponsible person would have Frankenberry.
And I am not irresponsible. They still make Frankenberry?
I mean, I would be surprised if it was in October.
Well, considering everyone gets early for everything nowadays, honest to God, there's already Halloween decorations and those candy stands, like what do you call those? Those little presentation boxes that they put in like grocery stores, and they're like, "Hey, buy all this candy because your kids are gonna egg your house you down."
Yep.
And you're like, "Hey, good job advertising structure, but I'm not buying candy 2 months early. You can't make me go fuck yourself."
How did all this candy get in my cart?
Why am I swimming in a basement full of candy? What do you mean I have extreme diabetes? Is it extreme super diabetes is airborne, you say? Oh no, how did this happen? Eating 500 pounds of candy in one night? Yeah, that'll do it. Gots to watch yourself with that extreme super diabetes. It's airborne. Diabetes. So, one man who doesn't have diabetes is Ethan Page, and he wants you to know about his new blog on Impact Wrestling. And since this is the Impact News blogcast, what the fuck? I'm going home. Mixer's not working. I called this a blogcast. I'm going to put my head in my trash can and just live there. This is my home now.
Say hi to Oscar for me.
I would, but Big Bird keeps coming around talking about this fucking thing called a snuffleupagus. No one's ever seen him. I think Big Bird's got some kind of psychosis going on. Grover's like, "I'll save you!" And I'm like, "Grover, calm the fuck down. You ain't no superhero. You're wearing like a tin lid. Like, come on, bro. Come on." And then you got that gay couple, Bert and Ernie. They're all just throwing their Muppet agenda in our faces.
How dare they?
Then you have
I want no politics in my Sesame Street, damn it.
Then you have Kermit the Frog with his fake news reports. "Hey, oh, the Glades are not on fire. I see through you. I see through you, what is a frog? And
It's an amphibian.
amphibian. I was going to call him I was going to call him an amphetamine. Like, no, that's a drug. I mean, I guess if you lick it, he is kind of an amphetamine.
Yeah, oh well.
Amphibian. So, we've had some technical issues. If you're listening to the live stream, we've had some technical issues. So we're kind of all over the place at the moment. If you're listening on the podcast, nothing's happened, and you're wondering why the fuck we haven't gotten anything relevant yet. Apologies. So, this is the Impact News podcast. And now we don't just review Impact stuff. We also talk about it. So here's what we got. We got some Cali Combat reviews coming, or previews coming. But I want to start off with a little nod to Ethan Page. He has a blog. I didn't know if you know this.
I didn't.
It documents his time in Impact, his goings on in the roads. It's a nice little behind the scenes. And this is the first day that I can recall that the Impact YouTube channel is publicizing and adding commercials, if you will, for his podcast. So I figured if they're going to give him a little shout out, so should we. I haven't seen any of his blogs yet. He's a funny as fuck dude, though, so it's kind of one of those things, like, it's not that I don't want to, it's just, I just finished season 4 of One Tree Hill for our show on Friday. I got to watch 3 episodes of Knights of Justice for tomorrow, plus fucking Grind, although I love those things, so, like, not a big deal. So, like, we just don't have a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I haven't watched it yet, but I hear good things, and he's a good dude, so check it out. With that, though, we're going straight into Impact-orama. So, would you like to know how I watched Impact this week? I
would love to know.
It was 7:30 in the morning. I had just finished making awful pancakes. They weren't awful, but I definitely... I understand now why they tell you to scoop out a quarter cup of stuff into the pan. It's because if you put too much, the outsides cook faster than the insides. And I'm like, oh, wait, I should have known that. So, like, I had brown pancakes and ooze-filled pancakes at the same time.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not good. I will be better, though, with my blueberries. I'm going to go buy me some blueberries, buy me some sugar-free syrup, because that shit's the tits. Maybe get a little bit of sugar-free raspberry jam. Just Spread on top. But I don't know yet. And then I'm going to try again tomorrow morning.
You try, Chad, and you never give up.
If I gave up, I don't think we'd still be doing podcasts. I am not one for the givings of the ups. By the by, speaking of which, we're actually doing very well on the website the last few weeks. I marvel at the fact that if I post more often, we get more hits per average. It's almost like people go to your site if you provide content. Who'd have fucking thought? Not me.
It's madness.
Speaking of which, one of the things that I'm writing about this week, it's going to come out tomorrow, is that Rick Steiner's son is going to train to be a pro wrestler after his collegiate football days are over this winter. So it's very possible we could be seeing a third-generation Rick Steiner, because that's technically their name. It's RECHSTIENER. STEINER. Rick Steiner. So his name is Rick Steiner. The youngest of them is Bronson Rick Steiner. And apparently he's going to be trained by, I think it was Simon Dean? Something like that. No, it's Johnny Swinger. That's who's training him. Johnny Swinger's going to train him, and I'm hoping Impact looks at him because this dude looks like a Steiner brother. He's 6 foot, so he's compact. He's probably 5'10". He's 235 pounds. He's got arms like Andre the Giant. Like, look up the column tomorrow when it comes out, Zach, and you're going to see how big this dude's arms are. He's a state wrestling champion out of, I think it was Georgia. So it's 6A. Like, that's big time. That's big A. And he's got quickness, strength. Like, this dude, like, just in terms of pure athleticism and strength, is a top prospect. And I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but way back before you knew me, I was writing for a website called ObeyCube, which is a little TNA website. And I talked about this little known prospect, this Georgia Tech nose tackle who's graduating by the name of Joe Anoa'i. I don't know what came of that man.
Probably amounted to nothing.
Yeah, he's definitely not making movies or anything like that. And I said if the WWE was smart, they would go after this kid. And guess what? They did. And he became some guy named Roman Reigns. Yes.
Never heard of him.
No, he's super not good. So I'm hoping that my eye can repeat on the this is a good one pick scale. So anyway, I was making pancakes and doing dishes as I was watching Impact this morning. So we basically start off the show with I forget the order. I think it was the Dreamer Tessa Blanchard promo.
I believe so, yes.
But there's some minor moments in between. Like last week, we forgot to talk about the Falaba Moose Brawl. That's on me. The Moose Brawl. So he comes and he starts talking about, hey, if your grandfather wasn't such an asshole, he'd still have a promotion, and you guys would be the new McMahons and not the McMahons. And your father, he got blackballed. I'm pretty sure he wasn't blackballed for his attitude, Tommy. I'm pretty sure it's because of the cocaine.
Cocaine, attitude, what? Splitting hairs here.
Cocaine attitude.
Exactly.
Then he talks about how her father, or her TA, and this is the part I kind of missed because the water was running. Yeah, I think he said something about how Magnum TA didn't let his car accident, define him or something like that.
It was guessing. Like he needed to not be stubborn so that he could actually, keep on living, I guess, or something. I don't know. It kind of fell off the rails.
Then he started talking about how he fought with women in ECW, and all right, keep your Muppet politics out of this, Dreamer. Although he does kind of look like a Muppet.
Kind of.
Tommy Dreamer and Tessa have the same head. Huh. Thing you should figure out. So basically, Tessa's like, I can beat him up 4-on-1, and I want to be like, yeah, and every time you do it, you are 0-12. So,
Good job.
Can ya? So Tessa eventually relents, and she's like, okay. And I'm like, why? So then we move on. Big ol' opening brawl. This was a hoss battle, and I dug the hell out of this. Moose versus Fallah Bahh. Moose busts open Bah's nose. Bah does like a suicide dive. They brawl around the ringside. They brawl inside the ring. Pretty sure there are small children running into buildings going, Godzilla! Godzilla! At Moose. But the match ends with a no jackhammer needed spear. And Bah gets lost. Now, this is a continuation off the fact that Moose spent basically an entire weekend, like 2 weeks ago, just taking L's. One of which was to Bah. Mm-hmm. So this was a little bit of a comeuppance, but it also made Bah look super intense. Mm-hmm. How you digging the Boster?
I dug it. I dug how they handled the whole thing. I like that Moose got the win because he ate quite a few L's over the past couple weeks in TV time. But then again, as you said, Bah looked intense. He's definitely getting in better shape. He's working on his in-ring work. It all worked out great. It's one of those things where you don't have to win in order to be put over.
Correct. You really don't.
Yeah.
I'm attempting to find the actual thing. Why can't I just find results? God damn it. I don't want to miss a thing. Even when I dream of you. The sweetest thing we'll never do. I still miss you, babe. And I don't want to miss a thing. Why, oh why, is it so hard to find someone who covers Impact? Oh why can't it be? Shall we call it a review? I feel like 411 will have a review.
I could.
Zonga! He has a review. Thank you there, Zonga. Coming in for the win again. Okay. So now that we have that in place, now so moving to Bobbles first, which is why I'm throwing it off the Tommy segment. Mm-hmm. So we already covered about that. Next up, we have a Sue Young video package with the undead bridesmaids. We still have no idea what the fuck she's saying, but she burned Havoc's name into a coffin. So I guess Havoc's hoping to cry Havoc. More about than anything. I feel like that. You've seen The Lost Boys, right? The movie?
I have not.
Oh. Well, that might have to be a movie for the Halloween edition of our ComicCorp reviews. There's a song in it called Cry Little Sister. Mm-hmm. And the joke's no longer funny because you don't know what the song is. But it's an apropos song for Jessica Havoc right now. Because it kind of goes, Cry Little Sister, thou shalt not fall. It's really haunting. And then when you realize that Kiefer Sutherland's like this big bad booty daddy, it's very, very. So next up we have a tag match. Madison Rayne. Zachary, do me a favor.
A favor.
A favor. And double check the Twitch streams because I just got to reload the restream chat. So.
It's laggy and glitchy.
It's laggy and glitchy, you say?
Yes. The audio is fine. The picture is kind of a problem.
Then I shan't give a shit. Just keep an eye on the audio because the audio is what we're here for. So Madison Rayne and Kiera Hogan took on Alexis Nicole and Jordan Grace, and Alexis Nicole has recently gotten engaged to me. I wish.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't know that yet. She's been wonderful. She has kind of like the same type of athleticism that Kiera Hogan has. It's good enough to get over, but she needs to kind of add to it with her talent. Like someone like Jordan Grace doesn't need like a character work. She can just be her, and she'll get over.
Right.
But when you look at Kiera Hogan and now Alexia Nicole, you kind of need to add to that gimmick. And I think, Don Callis said it best about Kiera Hogan. She's the most improved on the roster. And that's very clear, because I was watching her this morning. My sleep schedule was all sorts of fucked up. And the one thing I was thinking to myself is she finally looks like a star.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's awesome. So a little bit back and forth. The faces play nice, the heels play nice, but eventually, things go awry, and Madison Rayne hits Nicole hits a high cross from the top, and Madison Rayne is able to cut her off and roll her up.
Right. Well, there was a bit of confusion where, Jordan Grace tagged in Alexia Nicole,
but she wasn't the legal person because the ref didn't see it, and shenanigans.
Right. Well, it was Kiera Hogan wasn't the legal person who they were both attacking.
Oh.
So,
like I said, doing dishes.
Dishes.
So, post-match, though, we get a beatdown of sorts. Only for one demon fiend to pop and be like, yo, what good? And they're like, hey, we're not beating them up. And Rosemary's like, are you sure? And then Kiera Hogan's like, zoinks! And bailed, and Madison Rayne got beat the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been mentioning this before. Rosemary came back probably a little too soon. She was significantly overweight. Looking at her now, she has a whole new ring attire. I don't like the top because it feels like she just got off the sleeves of a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
But I love the trunks. Those pants are slick as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks in phenomenal shape, and I think she's at the point where, with a knee injury, you're never going to be fully back. You can keep working at it to come back. I think Rosemary's at peak what she will be from here on out, and I think that's a good thing. So I'm hoping they start using her more in matches, because they have been holding back the number of matches they put her in for an obvious reason, because they want that knee to be firm. And stability is a big issue with knee injuries, so I'm fine with them doling out these kind of sporadic appearances and more vignette stuff, because she's a character who does not need to be in the ring.
Right.
But she's also too valuable as a wrestler not to be in the title scene, so I hope, structurally speaking, her knee is good. Physically, she looks like she's ready to go again. In terms of her cardio, her athleticism, she's back in ring shape. She looks like she can go again. So I'm hoping they execute.
Mm-hmm.
Or as Wolf the Dentist Stanson said in D2, Onsa, destroy! That guy's a dentist? Oh no, it's just his nickname in the league. He apparently punched out everyone he fought and knocked out their teeth. Whoa. So, any thoughts on Rosemary's return or the tag match with the knockouts?
The tag match was all right. The ending was a little wonky, but what can you do? I agree. Rosemary looks like she's back up as far as she'll probably get. She might get a little further. We'll see, but she does look like she's back in fantastic shape. And the thing that I was looking at, and the thing that I didn't really think would ever happen, happened again from her knee injury, was when she got on her knees and just laid backward.
Yeah.
Because that's something she used to do a lot and may or may not have contributed to her knee injury.
It doesn't.
Who knows?
When it's an ACL, it's more of a shock kind of a situation, where, for me, when I blew mine out, I was playing fullback.
Okay.
And I don't know, do you know much about football? The football?
Yes.
Okay.
I know the football.
Okay. So do you know what a weak I formation looks like?
Is that where you have the I formation, but is it the fullback or the halfback that's in the middle?
The halfback's in the middle, the fullback's off to the left. Or he's on the weak side of the offensive line. So if the tight end's on the right side, fullback's on the left side. So I was on a weak eye.
Okay.
And I was off-centered. And my job was to basically sweep to my right and pick up the linebacker, the first linebacker I saw. So that meant, though, that there's a stutter step to the left. So that meant we both had to step right and kind of fake left and then go back to the right. So I did that, and as I was, I faked left, and as I was going to, swing to my right, my foot decided to be like, we're good here. And my body's like, we're going that way, and my foot's like, and my knee's like, wait, guys, you got to make a decision. Ow! And it exploded in my knee. The cartilage got tangled up in I think, the PCL. And it kind of all came back on the back part of my knee, and it, it tensed up, and as I, as I loosened my knee to go to the right, it all kind of untwirled and exploded, and the explosion tore my ACL. It wasn't that there was a contact or even a jostling of my knee that caused the tear. It was the cartilage itself exploding that caused it. So for an injury like that, there is no real like wear and tear. It just happens.
Oh.
And I believe Rosemary's was the same way. I do not believe hers was a contact injury. Now, there are incidences where it can be a contact injury. Most specifically, when you look at not a contact injury, an overload of shock to it. Like if you get hit in the knee, you can blow it out, but nothing you do prior is going to help that. But if you watch like MMA fights, you'll always see guys check kicks and then deliver leg kicks of their own, and usually they aim for the side of the knee. If your knee buckles too much, if there's too much tension, if the stability of your knee weakens, that can cause an ACL tear as well. With Rosemary, though, that wasn't the issue. I think she just had a non-contact injury like I did. So the leaning back is not going to cause that.
Okay.
But you are right to say that is a hard thing to get back, because before I blew my knee out, I was, not to humble brag, but the most limber individual on the roster. In fact, I could put my knees down like she did, but lay all the way down the flat of my back where my elbows were touching my feet. So like I would lay down like in like a weird twisted position. I can no longer do that. Like I can't even try to do that anymore. So to see that her limberness, her stretchiness,
yes,
what's the word I'm looking for?
Flexibility.
Yes, that's it. To see that her flexibility is returning to her is a strong sign that she is back to as pretty much full strength. She might even get more back to full strength. Like she might still be on her way to recovery, because the knee injury takes about a year to fully recover from. And you can tell from where she was in, what was it, January, February when she came back to now. Like she's lost maybe 40 pounds. She's gotten quicker. The one thing I noticed when she hit Kiera Hogan with that, I forgot what it was, like a spear or something like that, and she just like took her off her feet. Yeah. Like she like leapt like she hadn't done in some time. So like she physically looks like she's gotten back. And before the knee injury, when she was feuding with Jade and the Hardys, one of the more dynamic things about her was the fact that she could take bigger risks. I wouldn't say she's the most athletic individual.
No.
I'm not going to confuse her with Ricochet or Will Ospreay ever.
Right.
But she was physically fit enough to do big stunts, big moves. I think she's back to that point, or at least as close to that point as she will be. So I'm very happy with Rosemary, and she should be proud of how hard she busted her ass. Because so many times people have knee injuries, and they do most of the rehabilitation off camera. So you don't ever see how out of shape they were. You don't ever see how slow they were. You all of a sudden just see, like Stone Cold pops back up on TV, or Triple H, had that quad injury. He shows up 10 months later. You didn't see him get out of shape. You didn't see him, lumbering around. And my big question, I guess, out of all this is, did she ask to come back early, or did Impact tell her they needed her earlier?
Right.
Because I feel like, they dodged a bullet with her re-aggravating that knee injury. Now, if she's clear to go and she wants to go to work, who am I to say no? And I don't think Impact would also be like, you need to show up to work because blah.
Right.
So I think she was just eager to get back, because that's anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000 surgery and rehabilitation. It's a very expensive injury if you don't have insurance. So I'm sure she wanted to come back and start making that money again. So I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all. So next up we have well, hang on, let me see what's on the run sheet. Make sure I got this right. Okay, so we had a Impact Plus throwback with Hoovy and Saban. We actually talked about that match last week.
Nope, not this one. This was Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong, actually.
No, it says right here the Impact Plus throwback is Saban versus Hoovy from the first Super X Cup.
Well, then they are incorrect.
All right, whatever.
It doesn't really matter because who gives a shit?
So we'll talk about the Alicia Eddie stuff because I actually have a image from that, so we'll just skip that for now. We got the Taya Johnny Bravo segment, which was hilarious. Did you notice there was a little bit of a dig at one Austin Aries in this?
I did not. No, I actually didn't really pay attention to this segment.
So I'm not a fan of unscripted promos because it feels unscripted and they're bad. Usually they're very bad.
Usually.
But this one had a moment where near the end, Johnny Bravo is taking care of Taya's dog. And you can obviously tell they're in California when they're emanating from Toronto. Listen, I've been to Toronto once in my life. I've never seen a beach in Toronto. Ever. So, clearly not in Toronto.
Yeah, I think that was the point, though, is that because it was probably like an advertisement because this week is Cali Combat or something.
Yeah, I think this was filmed when they're in California. So they're doing their stuff, and Johnny has to take care of the dog. And at one point, Taya tells Johnny to go get the dog a ball. So he comes back with a ball like twice the size of the dog, and the dog's a little Pomeranian. And she's like, what the hell is the dog supposed to do with this? It's too big. Are you trying to make the dog feel inferior? Are you height-shaming the dog? And if you remember back at Bound for Glory last year, Austin Aries insulted Taya Valkyrie pretty personally and insinuated that it's cool, you know, people think it's cool to height-shame people, but when they call his wife, Johnny Impact's wife, fat, all of a sudden it's a big to-do. So I wonder if this was a shot at Austin Aries, because there is legitimate bad blood between the group.
Yes. It seems like that's entirely likely.
Considering Austin Aries signed with MLW and is part of their programming now, I would wonder, hazard a guess, if maybe or not Don Callis suggested that they put that line in there for the sake of it. I'm curious, but who knows? Who knows? So, next up, we get the best match of all time. I don't know how you feel about this match, but I fucking loved it. It's RVD, Rich Swann, and Willie Mack versus the Rascalz. To basically paraphrase the opening salvo, RVD kicks the shit out of Miguel and Wentz, and then Dez hops in the ring and goes, "Do me next!"
Yes.
And let me just say, that was fucking hilarious. What'd you think of this match?
Yeah, it was definitely a solid match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did enjoy the beginning, and just watching Willie Mack kick the shit out of Dez's face was pretty fantastic. And then both Trey and Wentz in the corner were looking at Robin, and Dez like, "Dude, what the fuck? It's supposed to be you. We wanted you to kick him in the head."
These guys are so good. They're kind of a repeat, if you will, of Andrew Everett, Trevor Lee, and Caleb Conley, who all came out of the Omega promotion with the Hardys. The difference is these three cats all have a fun, affable, likable personality, while Trevor Lee, Andrew Everett, and Caleb Conley never found their gimmick or their character, if you will, in Impact. Right. So I like this. The match was a lot of fun. Willie Mack was really good, but Rich Swann, I thought, was the best part of this team. Him and I think it was Wentz had a great tit for tat with kicks and shit.
Yes.
Match ends, though, when Swann and RVD basically double team Wentz. RVD hits a 5-star, then a Phoenix Blast from Swann. Bada boom, bada bing. The Rascalz lose. But it was a great match because it was 6 faces. No one was trying to cheat. They were just trying to outcompete, and I love that shit. It's good.
Yeah.
And during Swann and Wentz's interaction, I believe Don Callis started screaming, "Strong style!" which I think is fucking hilarious. Like, good for you, Don. Good for you, Don. Next up, we get a promo by the North, and they're yelling at Militia Santos, and they're like, "Introduce us properly." Yeah, actually said introduce us properly as the Impact World Tag Team Champions.
Yes.
Then they said that they're going to defend their belts at Cali Combat, and Adam Thornstrow, former guest of one of our shows of the podcast network. He's tweeting out that they got a tag title shot against them at Cali Combat. So,
oh man,
at least I think that's what he said. All my days are ending, and I don't know what's real anymore. What is reality? What is sleep? The Rascalz are backstage, and Jake Christ arrives, and he's harassing them, and RVD and Willie Mack and Rich Swann are like, "What are you doing?" And they're all like, 6-on-1, bitch. And Jake Christ's like, "Yeah!" Then he walks away like a punk-ass bitch. What up, Jake?
Jake is getting a little crazy. Getting a little... He went up there to hype himself up, and then he was like, "Oh, shit."
He's got a little jalapeno in his pants, if you will.
Yes, he's like, I love the part where he's like, he starts back away. He's like, I don't want any trouble. I'm not here for trouble. And I think it was Trey. It was like, no trouble is that way.
Yeah, that way for no trouble. The Deaners versus Desi Hit Squad. Losers become the servants of the winners.
Yes,
Deaners win. Just fine. I don't like their chemistry.
Yeah.
Jake, cousin Jake, I think has a lot to improve on. I think he's resting on his physical attributes, and he's not that impressive. Like, he looks great, and he wrestles fine, but nothing about him stands up. Like, with Cody, at least, he brings a sense of pizzazz. A garnered gimmick to his persona. So he wrestles within that idea of what he is. The Desi Hit Squad are very much like Cousin Jake in that regard, in that they have a shtick, but they don't really wrestle to it. And I know it's difficult to develop a specific style, but that's what separates the greats from the goods. Mahabali Shera does return to Impact. He returned in Mexico. So we've been talking about the idea of him being part of the Desi Hit Squad, which would up the ante for the group. We'll see if that ends up happening. But right now, all I know is we're going to get some segments now with the Desi Hit Squad shoveling manure from the Deaners compound. So then we go backstage. Best segment of the night. Sammy's upset because Jake Chris took Madman Fulton to Arby's for a beef and cheddar. Now listen, I used to work at an Arby's. Those onion buns are fucking disgusting. And they'll give you heartburn. But you get that shit on a regular sesame seed bun, that's where it's at. So yeah. Just like, yeah. So Sammy thinks that Fulton belongs in the cage because he's a monster. Then he yells about Dreamer and Tessa, and yeah, dog. So then we get the main event. Tommy and Tessa defeat Sammy and Dave after Dave accidentally hits Sammy. Cool. Tessa hits the Magnum. Bada bing. So this is all being done, in my opinion, and my opinion is pretty accurate all the time, to put over the fact that Tessa's going to be in the main event of Bound for Glory.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I feel about this. I don't want Tessa on the world title. I don't feel like we need more intergender wrestling in pro wrestling, and I know why Impact's doing it, and I don't agree with it. It's a gimmick. It's a hook. It's just something to cause controversy and people to talk about your product, and that's not always the best thing to do. The Eric Bischoff controversy creates cash idea does not actually work. If it does, our country would not be heading towards a recession. Just saying.
WCW wouldn't have been put out of business.
ECW would have made more money than WWE. The Hulk the Blob eating the Wasp would have been the biggest selling comic of all time. Just controversy doesn't create cash, yo.
No.
Not all publicity is good publicity.
Yes, that is not true.
I think Impact needs to go back to having gender-specific brands because that's what works in actual sports.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not a fan of the idea of intergender wrestling or Joey Ryan sticking his hand in people's junks and fucking invisible wrestlers putting people through tables. Like, that's not my bag of fucking shit, and I hate it. It's why I've become so entrenched with New Japan. I feel like Dennis. Remember Dennis, our old Japanese correspondent?
Mm-hmm.
Part of me feels like Dennis may have a point at times.
Yeah. I mean, there is, for those who are unaware, Dennis did not enjoy any comedic parts of wrestling, and there's a time and place for comedy. The Rascals is great comedy. Surprisingly enough, OVE has great comedic moments in their segments, but yeah, there are times where the comedy, the over the top antics and wrestling blow up dolls and shit like that, it doesn't always have to be there.
I feel like wrestling needs to present itself more as a sport.
Mm-hmm.
We know it's fake. We know it's staged. We are not surprised about that.
No.
But if you look at New Japan's rise in the last 3 years, it's not just because they had Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks. It's because, and this is quite more obvious and evident, they got Western commentary. And it became a lot more accessible to a large portion of wrestling fans. Because you have to remember, before AJ Styles was in the Bullet Club, the Bullet Club's t-shirt was the hottest selling t-shirt in all of pro wrestling. You can sit there and say, well, yeah, Japan's a big country. Japan ain't that big.
No.
Like, yeah, it takes 18 hours to drive from one end to another, but it takes an hour and a half to drive from one side to the other. It's a really long fucking country. It ain't that wide. And there's maybe, like, what, 20 million people there?
Yeah, I mean, it's dense, but it's not it's not that heavily populated in terms compared to like China or India.
Yeah, per capita, the wrestling portion of Japan is dwarfed by the American portion. So you're not going to sit here and have the number one selling T-shirt just based off of a Japanese audience alone. Mm-hmm. So there's already a heavy influence of Western fans who were into New Japan Wrestling 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So like, fuck off with that noise. Now they have Western commentary on all of their shows. They're touring in the States more than ever before. They have risen the Access TV brand to a brand new height. Yes, I can definitively say, without a shadow of a doubt, that New Japan's growth in America is authentic, and it's because it's presented as a sport. Mm-hmm. Now, you don't need to copy New Japan verbatim. Please don't. But the idea that they take their wrestling serious should not be ignored. Because we respond to how you respond. If you make everything you do a joke, that's all we will ever see your product as. If you don't take your product seriously, why would we? Mm-hmm. It's cute. It's kitschy. Have the invisible wrestler. Have tampon spots. Have pedophile jokes, Joey Ryan. Because Joey Ryan had pedophile jokes. Don't ever forget that Joey Ryan had a pedophile joke. And fans thought it was funny. So clearly, not all tastes should be indulged. And the fact that we have to sit here day after day after day and watch this dumb bullshittery, this challenging of our expectations, this idea that all pro wrestling is good. No, it's not. Definitively speaking, if all pro wrestling is good, then that means all pro wrestling is boring. Because not everything is good. In fact, good is subjective, and the fact that there is good means that there is bad. Because you have to be able to sit here and say, that's not something I like, in order to know that that is something I do like. If you were just handed goulash every day, and you never knew anything else, how could you sit here and say what you did or didn't like? So this idea that all wrestling is good, that deathmatch wrestling is as good as technical wrestling, that's a fallacy. That this joke wrestling that you do with like Mance Warner going through a table with an invisible man, or Priscilla Kelly using a tampon spot, to say that all wrestling can exist is a fallacy. It can't, because you will represent your industry with your antics, and if people see the most bottomless of the barrel, the most repugnant of behavior in this industry, that's what the reputation becomes. You have to hold yourselves to higher standards. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to be New Japan. You can be Shikara. But Shikara still takes themselves seriously.
Mm-hmm.
They have point systems. They have standings. You have to win 3 matches in order to have an opportunity at a title shot as a tag team. So they conduct themselves as a sport. And they have nothing but cartoon characters. But they still have a realistic setting for the wrestling. And I think that's part of the issue that wrestling as a whole today lacks, is that you have too many people trying to play into too many subcultures just to get an extra emph in their emphasis, that they're not realizing that these are short-term measures that have long-term detriments.
Mm-hmm.
Build your brand through good wrestling, solid characters, and excitement. You don't need to go and cater to the 10% of the crowd just to get a pop. Please stop doing that.
Yeah, that what you're saying, it makes me think of one thing: the not indulging certain tastes, and it's the thing that I'm kind of worried about AEW at the moment.
Oh, that's all they're doing.
Yes, is that Cody is fine, but it's catering to the Young Bucks, and even catering to Kenny Omega to an extent. I haven't seen the last show.
You don't need to. It's very skippable.
Yeah. The thing that just keeps popping into my mind was Fyter Fest with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega in Street Fighter garb.
Mm-hmm.
Doing a Hadouken in the middle of the match. That's great. You guys are catering to the video game crowd. Fantastic. Cool. I did absolutely nothing for anybody else. I mean, everybody knows what Street Fighter is because video games are huge, but why should we take that seriously? The Young Bucks I feel like I have the most trepidation towards. Kenny Omega, I know from watching Kenny Omega, I know that he does this stuff, but he also has great wrestling. Just watch any number of his matches with Okada.
Mm-hmm.
I have high expectations for his match with John Moxley when that comes about. But catering to them, and they're executives in the company, so who's going to tell them no? I feel like that is going to be the detriment to AEW if going forward, if they don't nip that in the bud, if someone doesn't sit down and say, hey, we need to run this as a business and not just us goofing around having fun. I mean, the boys having too much power is something that happens in every company, almost. It was a part of WCW, it was a part of WWE, both companies in the 90s, and it wasn't good. It was not good for business. So if AEW is going to live up to all the hype and potential that everyone is throwing at it, then we need to stop indulging in ourselves and actually focus on making a good product.
You hit it on the head so hard. The other thing that I want to point out is wrestlers have a bit of a pop culture standing on their own.
Yes.
I made this comment about Ricochet 2 weeks ago, and I'll make the same comment about the Young Bucks and Omega. Stop dressing like cartoon comic book video game characters.
Mm-hmm.
Dress like the persona you want to be. You should not be a fanboy cosplaying in the middle of the ring, because all we'll ever see is that you are just one of us. Mm-hmm. We don't root for each other. We root for those that are larger than life. It is a reason why Ricochet gets milding reactions when he comes on Raw. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, who hasn't wrestled in 16 years, beat his wife, took steroids, and had an alcohol problem, or maybe still does, I don't know, that dude drinks a lot, is still heralded as a fucking god because we never saw Stone Cold as one of us. You can sit here and say he was the everyman, but the man never lost. He was always in charge. He always had a swagger that we idealized.
Yes.
It is a reason why we still see him as fans today as this larger-than-life icon. Same with Hogan. Same with Rock. Same with Shawn Michaels. Same with The Undertaker. Same with Sting. When you project yourself as someone worthwhile, you will have that affinity for a very long time. Ric Flair was all of 5'10", had no offensive maneuvers, and had a bad back. Yet people called him the greatest of all time because he told you he was, and then went out and made you believe he was. Mm-hmm. I don't believe Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks are street fighters. And every time they try to do that shit, I think this is going to hurt them. And here's the problem. When people like me, who were excited for AEW, who defend AEW, who's watched every AEW show that they produced, is sitting here saying, I have strong concerns now more than I did when this was announced, you need to take that to heart. I am not some anti-AEW hater. I want them to succeed. I love Cody Rhodes. He's one of the best draws in wrestling right now. But that doesn't take away from the fact that now that the boys are running the company, and Tony Khan doesn't seem to have the balls to rein them in, you are setting yourself up for failure because you are not just trying to attract the niche market. You have to attract mainstream. You're going to be on TNT in prime time on Wednesdays, going head-to-head with USA's NXT. Yes, Zach, I know you don't follow wrestling news that often. NXT will be airing on USA starting next month. Live 2 hours. In the same time slot AEW is going to be on.
Well, it'll be better than Raw or SmackDown.
Well, paint drying is better than Raw or SmackDown. Come on. But now you're going to have to go up against a promotion that has your number, all intents and purposes. They make more money than you. And you're going to have to split their fan base, bring them over to you, as well as attracting new viewers in this time slot to warrant having this time slot. Mm-hmm. You cannot do that by pretending to be a cosplayer. No one respects cosplayers. Oh, you dressed up like Saint Seiya. Hey, look, you're Thundera. Oh, look, you're dressed as Becky Lynch. So cool, you dork. We don't care that you can dress up like characters. Because all you're saying is that you are not enough to be someone's cosplay. I don't want to dress up at someone's convention. I want someone to dress up as me at that convention. That's how you know you're legit. How many people dress up as Stone Cold or Sting or The Rock or blah, blah, blah? You know, like so many individuals at these cosplay events dress up as their favorite wrestlers, their favorite manga stars, their favorite anime stars. Mm-hmm. Start striving to be cool. Start striving to be someone that pop culture lore has to take into consideration. You think Roddy Piper's like, I'm going to be my best interpretation of I have no idea what movies from the 70s existed at the time. You think Roddy Piper's trying to be the man with no name? You think he showed up in a sombrero and whatever that fucking vest thing he wore is, trying to pretend to be Clint Eastwood? No, Roddy Piper just decided to be Roddy Piper. And now everyone quotes him. Now everyone tries to be him. Now everyone wears kilts and wears rowdy shirts. Fuck, Ronda Rousey tried to be just like him. Didn't work. Because it turns out not only could Piper fight, Rousey can fight. But Rowdy could talk. Rousey can't. So,
yes, you know. Rowdy, one of the best talkers.
Yeah, he's like top 5, arguably. So you need to understand that when you're trying to get new fans, be original. Here's an even better example for you. In MMA, there's no bigger draw than Conor McGregor. Even Zach knows who Conor McGregor is.
Yes.
He doesn't watch MMA. But if I said, hey, Zach, who's Conor McGregor? You would say?
He's an MMA fighter.
There it is. So now every other person in MMA is trying to be just like Conor. You got Colby Covington. You got Khabib Nurmagomedov. You got all these guys talking shit now, just trying to get a rise out of people. But here's the thing. Conor worked because he was authentic. We saw Conor as one of a kind. We see all these other cats as simply trying to emulate him. Mm-hmm. No one cares. No one thinks Colby Covington's a real bad guy. We think he's a dumbass. We think he's a douchebag for the things he's saying to get paid. But it's not like we all know Colby Covington's a character. I bet you Colby Covington is the biggest blue voter in all the world. He probably votes based off of economic standards and eco-resources. But he talks about how he votes for Trump because he knows that's going to get a big reaction because he knows that Trump isn't polling very highly in the United States. So if he talks about how he's going to make America great, he's going to get booed, and he knows that. He's a caricature. But no one's buying him because he doesn't feel authentic. Conor feels authentic. Guys like the Diaz brothers feel authentic because they literally will get suspended 4 years and not give a fuck. You don't get much more authentic than that. That's why Becky Lynch is failing. She's not authentic. She feels like a Conor McGregor clone. You look at the idea of cosplaying in pro wrestling. There's a reason why Leva Bates has never been signed to a full-time deal. She's nothing but a cosplayer. We don't want people who look up to others. We want people who demand we look up to them.
Yes.
And that's something wrestling right now is lacking. So, I have concerns about AEW too, my friend. So we have a few more segments to talk about because I watched this out of order. Ace Austin got beat up by Eddie Edwards after he was telling Alicia, "I am worried for your safety, Alicia." And Alicia, in her very nasally Boston accent, goes, "What are you talking about?" And then Eddie jumps on Ace Austin and starts beating the shit out of him. "Eddie, stop!" I love Alicia, actually. I don't know why I'm teasing her. I think Alicia's a very fun little character. And I think she's starting to find her own way in this. So Eddie gets pulled off, and the funny thing is, like, Eddie beats the shit out of Ace, and he's just, like, destroying him. Ah! And then as soon as Eddie gets pulled off by the security, Ace sits up and does the little tongue to Eddie with the card, and then lays back down all unconscious. I thought that was such a great shit-eating heel move. It was so great. Speaking of which, Ace Austin also wrestles for Major League Wrestling and had a match this week against Austin Aries. It is as complicated to call as you think, because one is called Ace Austin, the other one is called Austin Aries. Yes. Any thoughts on that? Not on that, but on the segment with
right.
Eddie.
The segment was interesting. There was after Eddie beat the shit out of Austin. I said Austin. Ace Austin.
Well, Austin is correct.
Austin is correct, but now I'm thinking of trying to call that match. I can't say Austin.
They even said in the commentary, I think it was one of the ex-WWE announcers who went to MLW. He's like, "As long as we stay away from the name Austin, we'll be fine. Just call him Ace and Aries." And then Tony Schiavone's like, "Yeah, that won't be hard." Tony Schiavone gives 0 fucks.
So, it was when he was still faking being unconscious, and Alicia bent down and tried to revive him or knock out say was just looking after him, and Don Callis is like, "She's giving him mouth to mouth." I'm like, what?
Don Callis, the Ariel Helwani of pro wrestling. He'll say anything to cause a fight.
There was no mouth to mouth, Don. Absolutely not.
She was simply giving him tenderness from her tatas. Come on, Don.
Yes.
Be an adult. Come on. I'm not going to deny it. I love where this angle's going, and I want to see more of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so petty and melodramatic, but, that's fine. Because they don't have many of those in Impact, so I'm fine with it. We also got a Michael Elgin and Rhino beatdown.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting. So, next up, we have the Cali Combat. Woot, woot. So we got the first big match is Rhino versus Michael Elgin. This should be... If there's not a destruction of a wall, I'm going to call this a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Rhino gored Abyss through a wall?
Mm-hmm.
That was big-time melodrama.
Mm-hmm.
Big time. Then we have Jake Chris taking on Rich Swann in the X Division Championship match. Rematch, of course, because Jake beat Rich for the title. I see Jake retaining. But yeah. I can't wait to see what Jake's got, because now we're into the tapings where Jake has evolved his look.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to that.
And we're not suddenly going back in time to before Unbreakable.
We also have a huge announcement from Taya Valkyrie that will change her career forever, I think is how they built it.
She's retiring?
I mean, one could hope. Speaking of Cody, our top 5 Impact for this week, our top 5 Impact video that we copied off of and put on screen because, is the top 5 most crazy brawls, I think? Something like that. Mm-hmm. Number 5 is Cody Rhodes attacking Moose back in March of 2017. God, that was a while ago. That's 2.5 years ago. Cody not signing full-time with Impact, I think, is one of Impact's biggest misses so far since since the start of the Anthem era. He was a name that I thought would have made so much difference in Impact, and seeing what he did with New Japan and Ring of Honor, now AEW, I was right. And I would have thrown the sun, the moon, and the stars at Cody and Brandy to get them to stay, but whatever. Yeah. Moose did have a great spot in this segment where he powerbombed one of the security guards onto another security guard from inside the ring to outside. That was great. From this year, number 4 is Tessa brings the fight to OVE. Sammy and Jake are enjoying their romantic night when Dave comes flying in and ruins it. Tessa then shows up with a baseball bat and breaks the festivities up. Completely forgot about this segment.
So did I.
I didn't think it was that good, apparently. Number 3, gang warfare breaks out. I remember this because this was the return of Machete to Impact Television. Yup. So at this time, Conan was in a wheelchair, so the Latino Nation came flying out to attack Team 3D. Johnny Rods came down to try to help. Machete was pushing Conan to the ring. It was hilarious. The eventual blow-off match at Lockdown 2007, where they had a electrified steel cage, was not. And I blame you, Zach.
I'm sorry.
Yup. Number 2, tempers flare between Joe and Angle at Bound for Glory 2006. This was great because Kurt had a whole line he was trying to get out. Then Joe's music hit a little bit early, and Angle, instead of looking to get Joe, had to finish his line. This will always be one of those moments to me that stand out because of that little fact. Angle and Joe then brawl, and the line that really needed to be said, I'm glad Angle said it, despite the fact he was late on his cue, or Joe was early on his cue, was, if somebody came down to the ring and headbutted me and punked me out like a bitch, I'd be upset too. So Joe comes down, they brawl, security holds him back. I think this was right before, and I don't mean this figuratively, I mean literally, I think this was like the segment before the main event. Or it was the segment before the tag title match. I can't remember where, but it was near the back half of the show because Joe had already wrestled on the card, because Joe was then kicked out of the arena for his attack Angle. And Angle was the special guest referee, or special guest enforcer for the main event. So, all-time, one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time. All time. All the time. Number 1 should be obvious. It was the vicious roster-wide riots from 2009. This was where every single member of the roster got into a fight with somebody for some reason. Even the knockouts were brawling.
Yes. I've listened to Cornette rant about this so many times.
He said it was the hardest thing to shoot he's ever done.
Yes. And it wasn't even the end of the show. There was still
Yeah, there was still an hour left in the show. This is in the middle of the goddamn event. And the funniest thing was Hernandez, who was being pushed as the next big thing, wasn't even involved. He showed up late to the fight. Goddamn. Goddamn. Shout out to you, Shibata. So the other big kind of interesting news, and this will parlay into some actual information for Impact. It sounds like Impact might be bringing back Ken Shamrock. So they posted his title win on the YouTube channel. Now, not necessarily a big to-do. He is the first and inaugural world champion of the TNA era. So, lineally speaking, he has ties to Impact that you cannot just shake a stick at.
Mm-hmm.
But Brian Cage has been tweeting at Ken Shamrock for a few months now, wanting a fight. This again picked up after the video came out. Brian Cage again started basically propositing Ken Shamrock to show up for a fight, saying something to the extent like, "You were the first, can you be the next? I'm waiting." Something to that effect. Because Brian Cage is the Impact World Champion, which you probably wouldn't realize because he hasn't been on television in like 1,000 weeks.
How about that 30-day no-compete clause?
I don't even... Like, here's the thing. If you said tomorrow that we will no longer have a 30-day no-compete clause, cool.
Yeah.
That 30-day no defense clause, technically. Not
Right.
no-compete. That's fine, because New Japan does not have a clause.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of their title defenses will go 8 months and have 4 defenses. That's fine. But don't tell me something exists and then not utilize it and only do it when it makes sense storyline-wise. Shimmer just lost their Phoenix of Rise champion to a torn ACL, which was, like we said before, anywhere from 6 to 12 months recovery time.
Mm-hmm.
Shimmer said, "We might have some type of number 1 contender match, but we don't strip champions because of injury." So, I wonder how many more promotions are going to start adopting different philosophies, because the idea of a 30-day no defense clause is a WWE axiom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so much of what we perceive as traditional pro wrestling verbiage or idealism is all just from WWE. We don't need to adhere to how they do things.
Right.
So don't. Brian Cage should be on TV. Even if his back is fucked up, he still wrestles to an extent at the moment. He wrestled against Elgin at Slammiversary. He can make TV. I would hope. Otherwise, why the fuck are you putting him out there anyway?
Yeah.
So get his ass on TV. Number 2. The idea of Ken Shamrock returning to wrestling isn't far-fetched because he's been wrestling the last few months. He's even opening up his own bare-knuckle boxing league.
Ooh.
So Shamrock's back in the fight game, if you will. Moose got involved in this tit-for-tat with Shamrock and Cage as well, making me think that Shamrock is, in fact, headed to maybe it's a Impact Plus event, where it's, you know, the Ides of Shamrock, or the Shade of Shamrock, or the Most Dangerous Old Man, or something like that. Mm-hmm. Just like they did with with Muda, and with Steiner, and they've done it with someone else. Pentagon, you know, when it was still the Global Wrestling app. But they've done themed events around guys. Unbreakable, Michael Elgin, Unbreakable. So maybe they'll do something with Shamrock in that regard. Maybe they'll actually bring him back for an actual run like they're doing with Rob Van Dam. Who knows? Just bring him fucking back because he deserves it. He's fantastic. And if you ever saw his promo with Tito Ortiz from his return to the UFC in like 2002, you know Shamrock it could be incredibly, unsurprisingly funny. Like, without even trying. Incidentally unfunny. Incidentally funny, I think. Unincidentally. Something like that. Tito was sitting in a chair, and Ken's like, you know, you better show up, because if you don't, I'm going to beat you into the living death. And Tito just took a second, let what he said wash over him, leaned back in the chair, and went, ah! And Ken Shamrock kicked a chair, and Dana White caught it, and it was hilarious. So he can be funny without even intending to be. And that alone makes him worthwhile. But the fact that he's also Ken Shamrock is also pretty awesome. And he went and recently had stem cell therapy done in Brazil at the same time Johnny Impact went down. Coincidence? Yes. But still.
Is stem cell still a thing then?
Stem cell is very much still a thing. In fact, it's a very, very useful thing. It has quite good rehabilitation properties and has the ability to cure illnesses. But we don't want to explore it here in the States because we don't like living people. Right? It's fucking baffling. Could repair heart damage. It might even be able to cure cancer, but we don't want to research it.
No.
Why would we want to help save people's lives? Why would we want to make the pharmaceutical industry find cures instead of treatments? Profits. I feel like the pharmaceutical industry is just the underwear gnomes from South Park. 1, find illnesses. 2, question mark. 3, profit. So, would you be interested in a return of Ken Shamrock to the Impact brand? He's like 55, but if you've seen him, he doesn't look 55.
Yeah, I highly doubt that Ken Shamrock is going to be that inhibited by his age.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would dig a little Ken Shamrock return. I'd be all for that.
Flair kind of reset the game when his run in 05, 06, 07 saw him win tag gold, intercontinental gold, and all that at the age of like 58, 59. Mm-hmm. If you keep yourself in shape, the believability of you being able to compete at a level exists.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Steamboat, WrestleMania, was out for like 23 years, 25 years, nearly 30 years at that point because of a bad back.
Yeah.
Has the match of a lifetime, comes back and does an entire tour of matches against Jericho on the house scene. Then has another major match at Backlash that year for the IC belt. Same thing. If you can come back and stay in shape and be able to perform, we will buy you as a contender as long as you present yourself as one.
Yes.
That's simple. So I'm all for it as well. I think it would be awesome. I don't know if it'll happen, but I, for one, sir, am rooting for it. All right, so let's segue into our big old conversation. So we looked at Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle.
I'm sure you know who Kurt Angle is. He's the bongo.
Sounds familiar.
The Congo Tungle.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the Angle Lock, the Angle Slam, the Angle Bongo, Tungle, Trungle, Bongo, Congo, blah. Kurt Angle arguably had the greatest wrestling career in terms of match quality in the history of wrestling. Gem after gem after gem after gem after Zachary Tyler Pew Pew Duncan gem. He's gymtastic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
His middle name is Kurt 5-Star Angle for a reason. His mother knew very early. I contest that from March of 2007, February 2007, to April of 2008, that Kurt Angle had the best stretch of his career, period. Now, we watched, 12 matches altogether?
Yeah.
So we watched Steiner and Angle. Right?
Yes, we watched Steiner and Angle.
Was that the first one we watched?
Yeah, that was the first one.
Okay, so we had Steiner and Angle. Then we had the Slammiversary match.
Yep.
Then we had the fully loaded tag match. Not fully loaded. Victory Road tag match. Or did we skip that one?
We went to Hard Justice.
Okay, so we had the Hard Justice Championships for All match, which was Joe versus Angle with every belt and Impact on the line.
Yes.
We also had his match with Brock Lesnar in IGF, which is the Inoki Genome Federation.
Mm-hmm.
We then went and had all three of his matches at No Surrender with Jay Lethal, with Sting and Kurt Angle versus Adam Pac-Man Jones and Ron Killings. Kurt versus Jay Lethal for the X Division title. The first match was for the tag titles. And the main event was Kurt versus Abyss for the world title. We then had Kurt versus Sting for the world title.
Yep.
I watched it, but I don't remember if we were supposed to. The Genesis tag match, did we watch that?
I did, yes, okay. With Booker T debuting in TNA.
Booker and Sting versus Kevin Nash and Kurt Angle. Then we had the Dome Show, which was Nagata versus Angle for the IWGP third belt.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kurt Angle for the IWGP third belt and the IWGP Heavyweight Championship belt. Title unification. And then I believe we had Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe, not Lethal Lockdown, but Lockdown 2008. Yes?
Yes.
Any that I missed?
No, that was all of them.
So, starting from Steiner and Angle, I believe that he had the most eclectic and dynamic match types in those, what would that be, 12 matches that I named off?
Yes.
That I've ever seen. Because with Steiner, Kurt's the smaller wrestler. They're both collegiate wrestlers, but Steiner's older. He's a bit more mobile. He's got back issues. He's not going to be the same guy he was in 1994 when he was just the suplex son of a bitch Scott Steiner.
Right.
But there were still a lot of interesting things that they did in that match. It was hampered by the finish, which had this just really ticky-tack botch spot that Kurt ended up getting and winning with. They would have had a much better match later on in 2008, but Kurt had to take time off due to injuries, so we never got it. Boo-hoo. We then move on. Well, firstly, what did you think of Steiner and Angle? Because this was supposed to be a big match. Arguably, outside of Samoa Joe, it was going to be Angle's biggest match so far to date.
Right. Yeah, the match was all right. The ending was a little, but the match itself, barring the finish, was decent enough. This was Angle when he had just come in, so he's just stepping up to people and headbutting them in the face, which is my favorite Kurt Angle.
Headbutt Angle equals best Angle.
So good.
Headbutt Angle equals best butt angle.
Yeah. So I just love watching just step up to Steiner as Steiner's marking him and like flex and just headbutts him. This is so good. So, and this was obviously the dream match would have been Kurt Angle versus mid-90s Steiner before his back injury.
Yes, that would have been fucking, oh god.
Would have been so good. But obviously that's not what happened, but they still managed to pull out a decent showing for themselves, and it was good.
If it wasn't for that corner botch spot, I think it would have been a really good match, because Steiner, beyond all realms of possibility, pulled out a match of the year contender with Samoa Joe just 8 months earlier in that June of 06's Slammiversary, where Steiner lost via snap suplex. And fans were like, well, that seemed like a little kind of a anticlimactic finish, but when you realize how good that match was, I don't think it mattered. And I think they were trying to go for something similar with that corner spot that Angle and Steiner were doing, but things went awry. Steiner kind of fell, and Angle just kind of fell on top. It was weird.
Yeah.
So weird. So
weird.
He was in a feud with Christian Cage, and it culminated at Sacrifice with Cage, Sting, and Angle, where Angle had Sting in a ankle lock, and Sting was pinning Christian. The ref ruled that it was a no contest, but that also Angle won. Russo. At that time, the NWA had announced that they were pulling out of their deal with TNA because Christian was not defending the NWA title at NWA events, and they thought it was time to change the narrative. So they started doing a tournament with guys like Brent Albright, remember him, Gunnar Scott from WWE? Adam Pearce, Colt Cabana, Bryan Danielson, and others. At the same time, TNA's like, fuck that noise, we'll just create our own big gold belt. And they did, and it was an awesome belt, and it's the best belt they've ever had. I love that belt so hard. And they set up 5 matches. Winners go to Slammiversary, and originally it was supposed to be Jeff Jarrett, Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, Ron Killings, No, AJ Styles. Who was in that match, goddammit? It was Joe Angle.
Yes.
Styles.
Christian.
And it was supposed to be Jeff Jarrett.
Yes.
At that time, Jarrett had to pull out because his wife had passed away. Mm-hmm. She'd been battling an illness. They knew it was coming. It happened. Jarrett was kind of like, that's the whole reason why Jarrett in 2006 started looking for a Christian to replace him, because he knew that things were tumultuous at home. Mm-hmm. So he wanted someone else to carry the brand for a while. Things were still going all right enough, so he stuck around until October. Then he left. Came back when they thought things were getting a little bit better. Things got worse. He left. His wife passed away, and he stayed away for a real long time. I think he came back in the fall, but only as a backstage personality. We would not see him again as a character until, I think, late 2008. I think. Because at the time, he wasn't on television at all.
Yeah.
So he gets replaced, and basically what happens was Jarrett beat Rude, Angle beat, I don't remember who. Joe beat somebody, Styles beat somebody, Christian beat somebody.
Yeah.
But there was another qualifying match, and it was Harris versus Storm, but it went to a draw. So heading into the event, they announced that Harris, who was supposed to tag with, I believe it was Rhino, against LAX, would be replaced with Loki, and that Harris was taking Jeff Jarrett's spot in the main event. Cue everyone expecting the long-term mainstay in TNA, Chris Harris, to fill in the big gold belt. We were wrong. Ha, 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 ha. It was Kurt Angle. To be fair, Kurt Angle lasted in the promotion for about 11 years.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle winning the belt was the right decision.
Yes.
The King of the Mountain match is always kind of a funky little sticky wicket. Not the easiest thing to judge.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought Angle's win was suffice. I thought it was good. You know, I'm not going to sit here and take shots at it. The match itself was fine. If you were into the King of the Mountain gimmick, this was one of the better ones.
Yes.
Because you had Chris Harris jumping off fucking ladders and AJ Styles getting thrown through tables and Christian Cage doing a frog splash. People think that's high risk. I don't know. Christian Cage fell on top of somebody. Ooh. Oh, that's so dangerous. Why did people... Tell me this. Why did people like Christian Cage?
I don't know.
Did you like Christian Cage?
I did.
Why did you like Christian Cage? Is it because he told Jeff that you're not supposed to wear white after Labor Day?
I mean, there was that. The man is up on his fashion sense. I like Christian because I always thought he was a decent talker.
He's very good at the talking.
Yes, he's good with the talkie.
He looks like a lifeguard, though. And I don't mean like a Baywatch lifeguard. I mean like a 19-year-old dude at the pool going, "Woo, don't run." What are you going to do? You 110 pounds of nothing. If you get sunburnt, you shrivel up because you're bacon. I don't mean you're Canadian bacon. I mean you're so thin that you just shrink. At least Edge had fucking muscles.
Yeah.
Did you hear that Edge is talking about maybe possibly coming back to wrestling?
I mean, I figured that might be happening after he feared Baron Corbin, or not Baron Corbin. Elias.
Same person at this point.
Basically. Yeah, I figured if he's getting in there spearing people, I don't see why he wouldn't try to wrestle again.
He said something to the effect like, in 3 to 5 years, his neck could be completely healed. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's rubbing the blood of virgin babies on his neck.
It's possible.
He might just be doing neck curls. You know, where you get into a neck machine, just you put weight on the end and you push your neck back, and you push your head back, and you're like, oh yeah, that's the stuff right there.
Do you really go, ooh yeah?
I mean I do. But then again, I also didn't have dates in high school that often, and most of my gym classes were co-ed. So when you got a dude who's doing these neck curls with like 180 pounds on the end, and you just hear him going, "Ooh yeah!" I mean, word gets around.
Yeah. People start asking questions.
Although the strength of one's neck is the reason why guys like Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar can drop on their heads and not die.
True.
But Edge.
Interesting.
So we then go from him beating Styles and Cage and Joe and Harris to entering into a feud with Team 3D and Samoa Joe. It doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. So he tags with Joe. It's a championship gold opportunity, blah, blah, blah. Whoever pins whoever wins the title. So if Devon pinned Kurt, he'd win the world title. If Bubba Bully pinned Joe, he'd win the X Division title. If Joe pinned Angle somehow, he'd win the world title. I don't know how that's even possible. What the fuck ever. Russo. Well, Joe ends up getting the pin on one of the Dudleys, one of the Team 3D members, and he wins the tag titles, and he's also the X Division champion. So then Kurt's like, I'll put my Impact World title, my IWGP third belts, on the line against your X Division and tag titles in a winner-take-all match. And Joe's like, yeah, that sounds fun. Let's do that. Well, Angle won. Thanks to chicanery from his wife, Karen Jarrett. Karen Angle. Oh, no. So I think that was a bit of an issue. Mm-hmm. You had these banger of matches, which we didn't review, but we know how good they are, at Genesis, Turning Point, and Final Resolution, with Angle versus Joe. They are physical beyond belief. Mm-hmm. And then you go into this match, and you make it a very Russo booking-esque disaster. The match was good. It was good. And then the finish happens, and you feel a little bit robbed, because it goes from an athletic competition to bullshit pro wrestling ideologies that died in the 80s. Mm-hmm. Blah. So after that, we go into arguably Angle's best night ever, in my opinion, in terms of just performance. So he tags with Sting against Pac-Man Jones and Ron Killings.
Yes.
Karen comes out and accuses Sting of hitting her. Sting's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't swear often, but you stupid fucking cunt. And Kurt's like, don't you swear at my wife that I'm divorcing in real life. Cacao! And punches Sting. And then Sting and Angle brawl. Sting gets thrown in the ring, and I think it was Ron Killings hits the spinny axe kick thingy, and then Pac-Man Jones leans on top of Sting and commits an immortal sin in pro wrestling lore. Pac-Man Jones pins Sting.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You should be. It's your fault.
I know.
Couple matches later, then we get Jay Lethal versus Kurt Angle. The build of this match is that Kurt's pissed, and he basically took 0 damage, so this is basically just a first match for him. And there was a scene where Jay Lethal, who had already been X Division champion, I think, looks at Kurt and gulps. And that was, to me, like the moment to define the match. Like Jay's staring at Kurt, and you could just tell he's going inside of his head, because he knows this is Bane. You merely only adopted the wrestling ring. I was born in it, molded by it, broken by it. I didn't see the ringside floor until I was only a man, and then it was uncomfortable. So Angle baned Jay Lethal around the ring, and Jay Lethal's still doing his best Macho Man impersonation, and it's hilarious. The difference between cosplaying wrestlers and Jay Lethal is that Jay Lethal sold the bit, got permission from Macho Man, and had his likeness and identity planted and placed everywhere in all of TNA Impact lore. Cards, action figures, video game appearances, all that. So he became the character that people wanted to emulate. And now he does callbacks to that character, and fans go nuts for it, because he made it his own.
Yes, when he tagged with Lanny Poffo. was pretty fantastic.
Well, he didn't tag, but he came out with Lanny Poffo as his manager at at All or Nothing.
Right.
So Jay's getting his ass whooped, and Kurt is throwing the stiffest angle punches you've ever seen. And this was his shtick in 07. He was throwing these haymakers because there were rumors that Kurt was training for an MMA career as well. Mm-hmm. In fact, in 2008, there were rumors that Dana White wanted him on The Ultimate Fighter. Something that they couldn't come to an agreement on because Dana wanted X number of dates, and Kurt's like, well, I'm still wanting to wrestle. Things broke down. See, this deep dive has some deep dives that even y'all didn't know we were going to deep dive on. Dippity-dabbity. So, Angle beats the shit out of Jay Lethal for like 15 minutes. Then all of a sudden, Jay Lethal's like, hey, Kurt, who's your favorite Pokemon? And Kurt's like, Snorlax, bitch. And Jay's like, all right, go to sleep. And then he rolls him up and gets him a shocking 3 count. And then Kurt's like, wait, what the fuck just happened? Did I say Snorlax, really? Why the fuck would I say Snorlax? I meant Scyther. Oh, god damn it, I lost the belt, didn't I? And then he sat there kind of grumble face. Arr. And Jay's like, I won! I won, motherfuckers! I won! Woo! Good job, Jay.
Good job, Jay.
Then in the main event, world title, Kurt's already won. He's already 0 for 2. And Abyss is rocking him. Abyss is the Angle showing the wear and the tear of the night.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden, Abyss succumbs to the fucking floor of the ring, and Kurt goes, see, I told you. You thought I was joking about the ringside floor. It is uncomfortable. This was supposed to be, obviously, the hints of Judas Messias. Kurt gets the win, retains the belt, la-di-fucking-da. But several months earlier, Kurt goes to the Japan. The land of the rising and setting and the rising and the setting and the rising of the sun. The place where fantasizing about high school girls in anime is not just accepted, but apparently encouraged.
Yes.
The place
Japan is fucking weird.
The place where Hideo Kojima's rantings and ramblings about cyber technology and electronic currency and nanomachines and clone bosses that no one realizes are the clone bosses, but he's also the president. Makes sense. The Japan. And Kurt goes to the Inoki Genome Federation. Now, there's a little bit of a backstory here, Zach. Would you like to hear the backstory?
I would love to, sir.
Well, fuck you. Oh, shit. So, at the time, about a year prior, maybe 2 years prior, Antonio Inoki is realizing that All Japan and Pro Wrestling Noah are kicking the shit out of New Japan. Especially Pro Wrestling Noah, who's like, hey, who's the biggest star in the world? Misawa. Who's the second biggest star in the world? Kenta Kobashi. Who are in Noah? Misawa and Kobashi. Fuck. Hey, Moody, you want to... No. I'm in All Japan. Fuck. So he started to panic. So he brought in Josh Barnett. And he had Yuji Nagata face Josh Barnett in the main event of the Dome show. Josh Barnett, by all accounts nowadays, is a pretty good pro wrestler. Zach, would you like to take a guess what Josh Barnett's first ever pro wrestling match was?
Would it be that match?
It would be that match. So Antonio Inoki threw a zero-experienced rookie Josh Barnett. Now, he's not a rookie in terms of fighting, just in pro wrestling. Into a match against Yuji Nagata. Not the best of ideas. This would become a trend, though, for Mr. Inoki. He would start bringing in more and more MMA personalities, including Bob Sapp, and would even be audacious enough to put the belt on these guys. He even had Bob Sapp defend the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in a legitimate MMA match that Bob Sapp lost. Inoki, everyone. It doesn't make fucking sense. Q 2006. Brock Lesnar has failed out of the NFL. WWE doesn't want him. Doesn't want to let him work elsewhere, though. New Japan goes, hey, your company's bullshit no-compete clause doesn't work for Japan because there's nothing that will allow people to watch you on an international basis. There's no internet. There's no streaming service. Don't worry about it. No one can see you. You can live in obscurity in Japan. 3 years later, we'd be laughing at that. So the courts ruled because that New Japan is not direct competition to the WWE, that Brock Lesnar could then go to New Japan and wrestle for them. So he does. Wrestles 7 or 8 matches. Beats Lord Tensai, Albert A-Train, whatever you want to call him, Furry Back McGee, to win the vacant IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Defends it a few times. He has a pretty good match. I forget against who. I think it might have been Tomko. Maybe. Or Carl Anderson. I don't remember. But his run is essentially considered a bust. But Inoki doesn't have any other big stars. In fact, he fed his best young prospect, Shinsuke Nakamura, to Brock Lesnar in a loss. Not good. So they're renegotiating a deal for Brock. And Brock's like, fuck that noise. No. At the same time, Inoki is booted out in New Japan. And he starts his own promotion called the Inoki Genome Federation. Brock still has the IWGP Championship belt.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of renegotiating with New Japan, goes, hey, I'll work for you, Inoki, because you'll pay me. And he does. So at the same time, Inoki also brings in Kurt Angle to wrestle Brock Lesnar at the Inoki Genome Federation's first ever show. And it was at this night, I think in May, maybe June, that Kurt Angle defeats Brock Lesnar for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship belt that New Japan claims is the IWGP third belt, which is the third incarnation of the title, because the first IWGP Championship belt run by Hulk Hogan was a tournament. Then you had the official championship lineage, which is what they were recognizing at the time, and then the belt Brock left with, which is the third belt. A little bit of canonical explanation for you fans. So Kurt then goes back to the United States, and that's where he has that run with the Impact and IWGP third belt championship reigns. At the time, Impact was working with New Japan, and this was seen by New Japan as a favor by Impact for New Japan, with the idea that Impact and New Japan would have a unification bout later on in the year. And they would, just not in 07, it would happen in 08. So this was a big to-do for both brands, like, we will do you this out, because Inoki doesn't want to play nice with New Japan, and Impact does, so things are going good. So we tell that story to get to Bound for Glory, where Sting has a great match with Kurt Angle, save for a blown spot by Sting where Kurt Angle, Sami Callihan's his face in. Kurt Angle, the original member of OVE. There was some chicanery with Kevin Nash that took away from the match, but Sting and Angle, before the chicanery, were having a epic encounter. What would you describe the Angle-Sting Bound for Glory match as? Because that really was, outside of the Joe trilogy, Angle's big kind of celebration. Like his big match celebration. It was in Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta. You know, it was supposed to be like this big homecoming for Sting. And for Kurt, who won his gold medals in Atlanta in the 96 Olympics. How impactful do you think this match was, even with the chicanery? Do you think the match lives up to the expectations of a Kurt Angle and Sting match? Thoughts?
Yeah, unfortunately, Russo is Russo and has things. Mm-hmm. But other than that, yeah, the match itself was solid. I had no real issue with it, even with the Karen Angle, Kevin Nash chicanery nonsense. I mean,
Dr. Kevin Nash?
Dr. Kevin Nash. Like, that stuff wasn't needed, but it didn't detract from the match all that much. So yeah, the match itself is definitely something. Is definitely one of his one of the top Bound for Glory main events, I feel like.
So then we go from there, and Sting loses the belt back to Kurt 2 weeks later.
Yes.
Yeah, because Sting could never agree on a deal, and Dixie kept giving him the belt at the end of his contract to kind of, you know, fluff out a longer run. Good old Dixie.
Mm-hmm.
So we then go into Genesis, which was, at the time, the last match on Sting's contract. And it was going to be a title bout tag match with Kurt and Dr. Kevin Nash taking on Sting and the debuting Booker T. And he debuts to his theme song. Like, that's great. Can you dig it? So they have their little bout-a-rooney. And I'm wondering why the fuck are we still having goddamn tag matches for the goddamn single world title? Russo, goddammit.
Oh yes, whoever gets the pin gets the championship. How the fuck does that make any sense?
Worse yet, was this the night that Joe cut his infamous promo on Dixie? No, that was the next month. Genesis 07 was when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were supposed to reunite.
Mm-hmm.
So, Angle gets the belt back. Book looks good in his debut. Sting looks strong. Nash looks old, but Nash is supposed to look old. He's fucking 48.
Yeah.
Angle would then kind of be involved in a few more Joe little segments, especially the next month when Joe and the Outsiders were supposed to take on Kurt Angle, Tomko, and Styles. So that all gets muddied, but in January, Angle does something huge. And he goes to the New Japan Dome show. And he wrestles the iconic Yuji Nagata for the IWGP third belt. It's the undercard main event of the night. And everyone expects Angle to lose. Sure as shit, though, he beats Yuji Nagata.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but he has one of the best matches of his career against Yuji Nagata. And Yuji Nagata is no slouch, but at the time he was 39, and unlike Angle, Nagata has been pro wrestling for most of his life. So his body is far more broken than Angle's at this point.
Yes.
And yet, even though Yuji was not considered to be a top guy anymore, he was given to Kurt as kind of the best big name to beat, so to speak. He still manages to have one of his better matches of the last 3 or 4 years with Kurt. They talk about the similarities between the two, and the bout is so successful that Impact builds, and Spike TV builds an entire special around this match called, what was it called? Global Impact.
Global Impact.
And it was fantastic. Loved it. It's one of my favorite pieces of Impact Entertainment. Shortly thereafter, though, Kurt would then go up and face Shinsuke Nakamura. This would be in February. Still the TNA heavyweight champion. Still the IWGP third belt champion. Mm. And he goes up against Shinsuke Nakamura. And in what I would describe as Shinsuke's biggest win of his career, beats prime Kurt Angle to unify the IWGP third belt and the IWGP heavyweight championship belt back into the IWGP heavyweight championship belt. Basically, he took Kurt's belt, gave it his title's name, and called it a day.
Yes.
The match was good. Not as good as the Nagata bout, but Nakamura was not prime Nakamura yet. He was still very young. This was literally 11 years ago. So he would have been 26 maybe, at best, 25 maybe. So it's not exactly like he was the elite worker he would be with AJ Styles and Tanahashi a decade later. But it was still a really good bout. Just not as good as the Nagata bout. Kurt still has the Impact World title. Goes into Lockdown 08 and has one of the most revolutionary matches of all time because it was supposed to be contested like a shoot MMA fight. At the time, I thought it was stupid. As an adult, it might be Kurt's greatest match of all time. There's a lot of contenders on that list, don't get me wrong. But the way they brought a brand new style of wrestling to a feud that had already encompassed 6 pay-per-view events at this time, this would be their 7th. Like, Joe and Angle were on every show. They, Genesis, Turning Point, Final Resolution. They took a few months off from one another. I think they were both involved at Lockdown 07. Then they were involved in Slammiversary 07. And they had the 2 more bouts in the summer. Then they had a bout, I think, in February of 08, where Nash basically cost Joe the belt. And he's like, oh, I did it because you're not ready to beat him yet. Okay. So, they've had about 9 pay-per-view main event matches against each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that Lockdown would kind of culminate in their feud. What did you think of the stylized MMA bout between Joe and Angle? With Frank Trigg on commentary.
Yes. Frank Trigg on commentary, I could have done one.
But he beat Matt Hughes once, kind of, not really.
Cool.
You don't even know who Matt Hughes is.
No. Even if I did know who Matt Hughes, Frank Trigg don't need to be on commentary.
Would you be surprised to hear that Frank Trigg is considered to be a very good commentator?
Really?
Yes. There's a fight federation out of Japan called Rizin, and Frank Trigg does a lot of color commentary for them.
Interesting.
Yes, it is. So bout go.
Bout the bout was definitely interesting. Because Angle came out and Angle looked. First of all, Angle looked like the most in shape that I feel like he ever looked in his career.
If you look at him in 2005, he was much more muscular, but he was steroided up to the gills.
Yes, he was.
In 2008, when he came out, he was a lot smaller, muscularly speaking, but he was defined.
Yes, he was.
Like, you could count the abs that each ab had. Like, he had an ab, and that ab had abs, and that ab had abs that had abs that had abs. Because this dude was peak prime condition Kurt Angle. His gait was solid. His back was straight. He was like, this was when Kurt started to do flippy shit at 40. He's fucking insane.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was the Sting match where he tried to do a 450.
And he needs Sting in the goddamn stomach.
Poor Sting.
Poor Sting. He got kneed in the stomach, got hit in the face. Kevin Nash made fun of his face paint. Karen called him a crazy person. All Sting wanted to do was go to the Hooters. That's it. Got wrapped up into a match. It's incredible what happened to him. All I wanted to do was play Pinochle with Ric Flair and Duluth. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Then he got kneed in the gut and hit in the face with a bat.
But to have this match, you really couldn't. I don't feel like you could do it with anyone else, at least on the roster at this time, if not just generally speaking, other than Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe.
Correct.
So they Vince Russo, to his credit, actually, he did something that made the most sense with the two wrestlers that were main eventing. So, and the match was phenomenal, as any Kurt Angle Samoa Joe match could be expected to be. So, but it just shows that this, along with all the other matches that I saw for Kurt Angle, they all show how how dynamic he can be. He's still, I mean, at his core, he's still always going to be the technical mat wrestling phenomenon that he is and always has been. But he can do, but there are so many little things that he can do to change things up, like when he was facing Abyss for the world title. He's not afraid to add a little comedy, and Abyss grabs his straps and he tries to run away.
That was fantastic.
So while Angle on the surface seems like he is, he's just this very intense collegiate / Olympic style wrestler through and through, he is very dynamic. He has a lot of depth to him that he can pull out for any different, for pretty much, he's adaptable to pretty much any situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, Yeah, possibly more so. I mean, more so than just about anyone else I could really think of. So yeah, '07 to I mean, even going up to '07 and '08, Angle had just a slew of phenomenal match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, his match with The Undertaker at Armageddon.
No Way Out.
Was it No Way Out?
Yes, because it was the month before WrestleMania. Because everyone's like, "Why aren't you doing this at WrestleMania?"
Should have done it at WrestleMania.
Yeah, because you know what? You know who he wrestled at WrestleMania instead?
Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio.
Correct.
And Taker faced Mark Henry.
I wonder if they should have maybe changed that up a bit.
Possibly.
Just a smidge.
just a little bit. And then, so even leading up to this, Angle had a set of fantastic matches, and Angle just kept getting better as time. And it's Angle when did Angle debut in WWE? 99?
Survivor Series 99 was his official debut. He was wrestling shows in June of that year against Tiger Jeet Singh or Tiger Ali Singh.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll say his official debut was November of 99.
Yeah. So in 2008, I believe they said he, along with Nagata, was 39 years old. So he started
at 30.
Relatively pretty late in his career, but he peaked at just the right time. For him to be, I don't know that anyone would ever question him or should question him being the first TNA World Heavyweight Champion. I mean, the only other person I could think of to have that would have been AJ Styles, but at the time, AJ Styles was being Christian's lackey, and Kurt Angle was, while he wasn't the Mr. TNA that AJ Styles had been, Kurt Angle was your top guy because he was the most well known. Anyone who knew wrestling knew who Kurt Angle was. So he should have been the one to carry your brand, and he carried it fantastic.
I would also add Sting's name to that list, but you're right. Styles, Sting, and Angle would be the three. And the thing with AJ being the lackey, it was two-pronged. One, Styles loved it. He thought it was a hoot to do all that stuff. He's praised that as some of his best work in terms of character work. But also, Styles was always someone who was never accepted as a world champion. People often forget that. When you look back at TNA when Jarrett and Ron Killings and Shamrock and Styles and all them were winning the belts, it was definitively one person who was getting reactions, who was drawing crowds, and that was Jarrett.
Right.
They rushed Styles into the main event scene thinking that he could become a brand new star for them. And it's not that they were wrong, it's that they were too quick to try to make it happen.
Right.
It's why most of his title reigns were 50 days. By the time 2008 rolled around, Styles was being rebuilt up. The problem was so many fans saw him as someone who was already world champion and should have been in the scene the entire time, but now they had a brand new booking crew, and Jarrett was finally taking himself out of the scene, so he wasn't booking Styles in the main event scenes, because when he was doing that, he was doing so two-pronged to, one, get Styles over, and two, help him out as a champion at the time. Now he didn't need to do that, and he could book Styles against other top guys who were equally as good and not worry about how is this going to affect us 5 months down the road. So They rebuilt Styles up through 2008. He dropped the comedy act, and by 2009, he was a genuine top guy again. Granted, Hogan and company fucked that up, but what are you going to do?
Yes, because let's make him Ric Flair Jr.
Yes, because the antithesis of Ric Flair should be Ric Flair Jr. The other thing that I think is very important to note is that Kurt Angle would actually have the best stretch of his matches of his career after this point in time. This period of 2006 to early 2008 is one of the most important moments of Kurt Angle's career because it's arguably his most successful 14-month span in terms of notoriety, match type, booking, attendance, buy rates, and all that. But he would have a string of matches with Sting, with AJ Styles, with Jeff Jarrett, going all the way through 2008 into 2009 that were better. The two AJ Styles matches that he had at Slammiversary and Hard Justice, his Bound for Glory mount with Jeff Jarrett, and his empty arena brawl with Sting in 2009, all better. But those were fewer and far between, and he wasn't as successful as a wrestler in storyline. And he was also forming the Main Event Mafia, and he was being the shogun, the head of the crew. So it's a bit of a different situation, but he definitely had like that 3-year stretch, his first 3 years in TNA. Holy hell, what a run! Just wasn't as successful the last half of that run, and then he would get successful again, and because he's fucking Kurt Angle, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So that's all I got for tonight's show. Anything else that you want to bring up or touch on before we say goodnight for tonight?
No, I think that covers it for me.
Shaklacky. RealNerdCorp.com, RealNerdCorp.com. We're on Twitter at NERDCORP. We're on Instagram at RealNerdCorp, RealNerdCORP. Twitter is NERDCORP. I just wanted to clarify if I said it. The website's RealNerdCorp.com, RealNerdCORP. We're on Mixer.com/NerdCorp, right?
Yes.
We're on Twitch. We're on Twitch.tv/RealNerdCorp. We're on YouTube.com/NerdCorp. And you can find all of our shows via download at Podbean by going to the website at realnerdcorp.podbean.com. Or, if you have a mobile device, download the Podbean app and search for us on the app at Real Nerdcorp. We're also on iTunes at Nerdcorp, NERDCORP, by going to the podcast section of the iTunes store and searching Nerdcorp in the search bar. Yeah. I already went through your rundowns and my rundowns and everyone else's rundowns, so we're ready to go. We're done for the night. We'll be back next week. I don't know what we're covering. We'll talk Cali Combat. And other stuff.
Yay!
So tune in next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another edition of Making an Impact. I've been your host, Chad Portal. Thank you for listening. For Zachary Tyler, Pew Duncan. Tune in next Wednesday. We're done. Zach, say goodnight.